So the first thing you're going to do is grab your tile and just rinse it off to get rid of the dust particles so we don't have any imperfections when we're glazing. You don't need to dry it off because it's a really porous material and it's going to dry pretty quickly. Okay, now I took my pencil line and I divided this recipe tile into 2 sections because what I want to do is combine glazes. So you guys do need to write this down. You can't write it down on the back of it, and I just use pencil to divide it. I can't write it down on the back because all of the markings are going to burn off in the kiln. So even with Sharpie, I can't write on the back. So I'm going to do 2 coats of blue grotto with 1 coat of celestial blue over the top. So I wrote that down. Then I want to drip some opaque white. And then on this side, I want to do a separate recipe. 1 of ginger root, 2 blue grotto, or I'm sorry, 1 of blue grotto, 1 of celestial blue, and then I'm going to drip white on that side. So when you guys are glazing, you're going to be glazing straight from the jars. So if this is my blue grotto here, the glazes look different when they're fired. So for example, this brighter red turns into this darker gray over here. So make sure that you guys look up at the sink to see what colors it actually turns out when it's fired. And yes, it does change even though it looks like it doesn't. So when we're glazing straight from the jar. Take your paintbrush over there. Don't trust that other kids wash it. Run it under water and go like this until it runs clean. And then if I know that I'm going to put 2 coats of this on here, I'm just going to dip straight into the jar. And then I'm going to practice painting within the lines. And it may not look completely even the first time that you guys glaze. If you have any cracks, crevices, texture, we need to clean that up. So we're not mixing the glazes, we're gonna layer the glazes. You can see it's already starting to dry right there. It already kind of looks a little pasty. There we go. A little chalky. And so by the time I finish painting this, I'll probably be ready for a second coat. But if not, I can add my other coats onto my other side. For these, I'm not gonna have you glaze the side. For the texture tile, I am going to have you guys glaze the side. So I'm going to apply a pretty thick coat. We shouldn't be able to see the clay body through it. One thing that kids tend to do is they'll go like this and call it 1 coat, and that's way too light. And we need to have 3 even coats for it to actually show up, be food safe, and look nice. So I'm just going to glaze the exterior here. Okay, so this is 1 coat. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry before I put another one on, otherwise it might contaminate it. I would wash this brush, get another one. For the sake of this video, I just have a second paintbrush ready to go. So for my other one, I'm gonna do a celestial blue. Anytime that you guys see crystals or crystal magic, you're gonna see little crystals inside of here. If it settles, put the lid on, shake it. Make sure that the lid is on tight when you shake it. That being said, if you can't get a lid off, run it underwater, tap it on the table. Don't ask me because I'm not stronger than you. Okay, don't pour into the lid because then it just makes it harder to open up because it'll get inside of those threads. And then you'll see little crystals. Make sure that you go all the way down to the bottom because they tend to settle because they're a little heavier. So I'm just gonna pull this up so you guys can see. Kids tend to want to knock those off of the surface. You can kind of see that here. So what the crystals do is they create little polka dots of color. So it's different types of glass that melt at different temperatures. And so the background color will melt, and then you'll end up with little dots of color like this one right here. That one is cosmic black. It's not the celestial blue that I'm using right now. But again, if you have cracks and crevices, make sure that you get it in the cracks and crevices. Practice using the tip of your paintbrush to get a good clean border on it because you'll need a border for your texture tile. And again, we don't need to do the sides. Now that I've got an even coat, I'm going to spread it out. Now this one's completely dry, and now I can go on to my second coat of the blue grotto, then my coat of celestial blue. You guys kind of get where I'm going with this. I'm going to show you the drip, even though this one's not done yet. I would need to put 3 coats before I do this, but again, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to move on. So I have my opaque ready to go. Clean paintbrush. Please don't contaminate the glazes. Okay, I'm going to kind of scrape the side here and then just let it drip. Okay, so then I can see what